Welcome into Birds of the Roundtable on another Victory Tuesday. 5 Victory Tuesdays in a row, 5 times with me playing the host, as we will continue to do for superstitious reasons as long as the Eagles keep winning. It looked dicey, Dibes. I thought I was going to get out of this hosting gig, but we'll get into all of that. I'm joined today, as always, by the best co-host that this show has ever seen. That's right, Ryan. If you're listening later, it is Dibes. Give him a follow on Twitter at Mr. Crockpot. Dibes, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing well, man. I'm excited for Dallas Cowboys week. I worked all day long, and I go home, and I turn on the Phillies playoff game. I swear to God, it was a 3-run home run from the Braves. I turned it off immediately, and the Phillies won. That was the baseball god saying, stick to football, stop watching baseball. I'm excited to talk about it.
Baseball is the one true sport, and you should not be cheating on the Eagles with any other sports team. That's my official take. NBA, MLB, I don't want to hear it. It's all about the Birds. So we are going to break down the Eagles' victory over the Cardinals. We're going to talk a little bit about Dallas. I'm going to go ahead and start rolling our Madden simulation in the background here, and we'll dive in. So my kids are on fall break this week, so I'm a little behind schedule in terms of my normal film watching and stuff. If you guys follow me on Twitter, you might have noticed a little bit of a slower pace, and it's going to be that way for this week. I'm not going anywhere. We'll get back into it. So as such, I have been through the Eagles' offensive film in depth. I have not really touched the defensive film yet. So I can talk about, we can talk about the things that we saw live, but I haven't been able to do a rewatch of the defense yet or dig too much into the Cowboys. But of course, I've followed them through Chalk Talk and just generally following the division stuff throughout the year. So I'm anxious to get into it. I know Dibes has always got stuff, especially now that he has decided to stick with the Eagles, which is great news for everybody. So Dibes, why don't you kick us off here? Let's start with the Cardinals game. The Eagles pull out a 20-17 win. It started really nice, and as it has tended to do, it got a little dicey down the stretch. But the Eagles are able to pull it out. They win the battle of the backup kickers 20-17. Where do you want to go first with this one? You want to dive into the offense or the defense?
Let's do offense first. Let's go to the offensive side first. You got to start with, how long will the Eagles second half woes continue, and how much longer can they survive with their lack of offense there? The Eagles are 3-0 this year when they score 6 or fewer second half points. The rest of the NFL is 12-33. The Eagles offense has to be better. And you look at kind of what we saw in that second half, 40+% of the Eagles rushing yards on Sunday came in that last offensive possession where they just dominated on the ground. Miles Sanders, Kenny Gainwell, Jalen Hurts. That's not good enough, man. They have to do a better job. Luckily, the Eagles offensive line really showed up. They only allowed 9 pressures on 40 pass blocking snaps, even without Jordan Mailata, even without, Landon Dickerson going in and out and Jason Kelce going in and out. Kudos again to Jeff Stoutland for having this team prepared. You look at, Kelce and Opeta did not allow a single pressure, which is amazing. We have raved and praised this Eagles offensive line over and over and over again. It deserves it tonight. But you look at kind of the Eagles' ability to avoid turnovers. I know Jalen Hurts didn't have that sexy game with stats and stuff like that, but I think the Eagles' ability to avoid turnovers was yet another reason for this win. The Eagles are one of only 16 teams in history to commit 2 or fewer turnovers in the first 5 games. They've now gone 8 straight games with 1 or fewer turnovers. The Eagles are also the 12th best in fewest penalties in the NFL. So even if you look at this Cardinals tape, and even if the Eagles didn't scheme well, their game plan was garbage on offense, even defense, which we'll touch on in a little bit. But if you can limit turnovers, if you can limit the negative plays via flags offensively, you do have a chance to win. The truth of the matter for the Eagles, though, they're 5-0, and they really haven't played a full two halves in one game. They haven't played a complete game. They've only scored 29 points after halftime. That's the third fewest in the NFL. So for me, it was really cute. We were talking about whether or not we should be nervous about the lack of offense in the second half. We're now 5 games in. It's become a pattern, and it's a problem. Time, Jordan.
Yeah. It's, I wasn't concerned about it in the Vikings game, but you've seen it pop up in other games where, it could be a big issue. And in the Cardinals game in particular, it was largely due to the Cardinals dialing up pressure and the Eagles not really knowing what to do as the Eagles get a sack of Cooper Rush in our Madden simulation here. But you mentioned avoiding turnovers. It can't be overstated how fortunate the Eagles were not to have an interception on the day. It was that over route, that crossing route against cover 3, and Hurts saw the route. He just did not see the underneath defender sinking under that, and it would have been a tremendous play for an interception. The defensive back's unable to come down with it, but it was a throw that Hurts shouldn't make, and it's a throw that he did make a week ago against the Jags, and it was intercepted by Andre Sisco for a touchdown. So it's back-to-back weeks. It's been the same look against cover 3, that late crossing route that has given Hurts trouble. I would like to see him not make that mistake for a third week in a row against Dallas. He's a guy that, we've highlighted how he learns from his mistakes, and that's one that got him twice. I hope it doesn't get him a third time. But you mentioned it, Hurts doesn't have a sexy game. He goes 26 of 36, 239 yards. He takes 2 sacks. He had 15 carries for 61 yards and 2 touchdowns. I swear, at least half of those. I think he had like 8 QB sneaks. I can't remember now. But so Hurts was making things happen on the ground. Miles Sanders was not. Miles Sanders didn't have that good of a game. And as much as people wanted to gas Miles Sanders up after last week against the Jaguars, where he had a good game, people just need to realize Miles Sanders has the easiest job in football. He's running behind a tremendous offensive line with a quarterback that makes heavy boxes, not heavy boxes. And, that's not Sanders' fault. He did a good job against the Jaguars. I didn't think Sanders had a great game. Now, there wasn't a lot here for him, but he didn't make anything happen either. And so the running game was pretty hit or miss. And eventually what you saw the Cardinals do was you just saw them start to blitz. And the Eagles had no answers other than screen passes.
Yeah.
And the screen passes worked early, and they didn't work late. And it's because the Cardinals made some adjustments early on. They were putting two defensive backs over 3 receivers. And so the Eagles saw that, and they would throw the screen every time. But later in the game, they started to line up man on a man over those. And the Eagles, that was still their only answer. And you saw one where Quez Watkins was dead to rights, but he breaks a tackle and gets 6 yards. You saw one where Devonta Smith did the same thing. But those are not good plays. That's not what you want your receivers doing, trying to make a free man miss 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage. The Eagles offense has got to figure something out there. And I'll have an all 22 video coming out tomorrow about some of the offensive design in this game. It was just bad. Like, I don't know what, for example, there was one play the Eagles lined up under center and they did like a play action bootleg to the right with Hurts, but all the routes went to the left. I don't know what that was. I don't know if that's a miscommunication, guys running different plays, but it makes no sense to bootleg your quarterback to the right and have 2 routes go to the left of the field with nothing for him to throw to. And there were a few instances of that. There was one where they left J.J. Watt unblocked off the left edge, and I was in a debate on Twitter on that. Like, some people said that he should have given that ball. I think it was just play action, though, because the right tackle and the right guard don't run block. They're pass blocking. And so if it was play action, I don't understand why you leave. I just don't know. There were so many things that had me scratching my head from the offense. It was clearly the world this year. But the Eagles get through it. They have an adversity game a week ago against the weather. They have an adversity game this week, losing guys on the offensive line and overcoming what I thought was a tremendously bad offensive game plan.
Yeah, for the first time we saw the Eagles offense go horizontally rather than vertically, which was a little shocking. I don't know. Maybe they just saw – I believe the Cardinals came into that game like second in blitz percentage. They were like pretty high up there. But like the Eagles offense is elite, man. They shouldn't be playing to the Cardinals. They should be playing to their strengths. And too many times I saw them just bail out the Cardinals with, quick pass, screen, screen, screen. And the Cardinals were happy to give those to the Eagles every single time. And I did not understand the game plan whatsoever. Like coming into this game, the Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown had, I think, 8 combined completion receptions of 20 yards or more. Like this was like a downfield offense. And I just don't understand the approach in that regard, just like you said. I don't put that all on AJ or Jalen Hurts. I thought he had like a B-, C+ game on my end, but I do want to like give a quick nod to Jalen Hurts. That throw he made to Dallas Goedert under pressure, staying in the pocket, making an accurate throw. People probably won't talk a lot about that throw this year. It'll probably be forgotten. But that was one of my, probably arguably, at least for me, a top 3 Jalen Hurts throw of his career. When he got, I believe it was a 3rd down situation. He got it to Goddard for the 1st down. That was a big time throw. And those are the little moments of Jalen Hurts that I'll remember.
Yeah, it was the last drive of the game for the Eagles. It was a 3rd and 12, and he read out zone coverage. He actually checked that at the line of scrimmage. Dallas Goedert said after the game. So Hurts adjusted based on the defensive coverage, stood tall in the pocket and delivered that sit route to Goddard over the middle. And credit to Goddard too for making the grab and breaking a tackle to get the 1st down. So I'll actually have a video out on that play tomorrow.
Nice.
If my kids permit me to. I've got the clips cut up. I'm going to do a video about how the Eagles handled the blitz when it went well and how they handled the blitz when it did not go well, and try to figure out, what the offense needs to do to become better against the blitz. So structurally, like I said, there's some things that they need to work on there. The lack of hot reads for Hurts, I don't know whether that's a structure thing or that's a Hurts not recognizing it thing, but another thing that they do is they just don't often keep a back end to protect. And maybe that's because they trust Hurts' mobility to get away from guys. Maybe that's because they know none of their backs are good in pass protection. But it's also worth noting that they just don't often keep in a 6th guy to block. So yeah. I did think it was strange. A.J. Brown's usage in this game, it was the biggest disparity in snaps between him and Devontae Smith so far this year. Now, the Eagles did go into more 12 personnel. They were using Stoll and Goddard sort of in nub sets quite a bit, 2 tight ends on the same side of the formation. And maybe that ate into his snaps. I would have thought that would eat into Quez Watkins' snaps. So it was A.J. Brown's lowest snap count of the year. He had 3 catches in the first half. He was abusing Marco Wilson, and then he didn't have a catch the rest of the game. Now, he did have some targets, some that were batted down at the line, things like that. I don't know what to make of that. I saw a video going around on Twitter of him sitting on the bench by himself at the end of the 4th quarter, people trying to make something out of that. I'm not going to read anything into like a 10-second clip where a guy was sitting on a bench by himself, but I'm not trying to start rumors. I don't know what's going on there, and I don't know if we'll hear anything about that as the week goes on.
Oh, no.
Throws an awful –
Oh, no.
6
Oh, no.
Trayvon Diggs, as we're talking about avoiding turnovers. So the Cowboys are going to take the lead in our Madden sim here. Let's not have the Trayvon Diggs interception thing going again this year.
Yeah, A.J. Brown, those 3 catches were on the first offensive possession for the Eagles. So it was all, from the jump early, and then he was like kind of forgotten. That should have been interception that was dropped. That was going towards A.J. Brown. And it was a little bit behind him as well. Just bizarre. Just really, truly bizarre, considering how, damaging he's been against opposing defenses. Like, do we see the Jalen Hurts to A.J. Brown slant, quick cross pattern at all on Sunday? Like, that's one of the bread and butters of this Eagles offense that other defenses have not been able to slow down whatsoever. We didn't see it. We did not see it. And that needs to get back into the Eagles playbook if they want a chance on Sunday against a really good Cowboys defense.
If I remember correctly, all 3 of his catches were out routes against Marco Wilson. And it was strange to me that as screen heavy as the Eagles went, why were they throwing so many screens to 170-pound Devonta Smith over the 225-pound A.J. Brown that's great at breaking tackles and getting yards after the catch? It just didn't really make sense to me.
I don't know. I don't have an answer, but it seemed like just the Arizona Cardinals defense was so happy to say, sure, take the 5-10 yards, just like Gannon. Like, just take it.
That's how they were playing early in the game. So the reason they went to that so much early is because they were playing off-man coverage. A lot of off-man coverage to try to prevent being beat downfield. You'll happily take those screens, but when they started to close in, the Eagles just didn't have an answer. And something else I noticed with the blitzing is the Eagles went into a lot of condensed sets in this game. They were getting the receivers snug to the tackle box, and I don't like that. And they were doing it so they had more room to attack the flats. But the byproduct of that is it makes it easier for the defense to disguise who's coming on those blitzes. I would love to see them spread that out. Spread the field, put Devonta Smith on one side, A.J. Brown on the other, put them both on slants, and just pick the matchup that you like better. Like, you've got two really good receivers. I don't understand why the solution was just to go condense to run a ton of screens when you have two really good receivers that you could trust to win one-on-one.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
All right. So when I'm talking, I hear a little bit of echo on my end. Do you hear that?
No, I'm good on my end.
Okay, I'm going to ignore it then. It's probably just coming through my stuff. So anyways, I think that's the biggest things for me. The only other thing I have is Jack Driscoll played a really bad game, I thought, on Sunday. He gave up 5 pressures. The Eagles desperately need to get Jordan Mailata back, or even Andre Dillard. But hopefully one of those guys is available because Micah Parsons will eat Jack Driscoll's lunch. Big time.
You know that Micah Parsons will be lined up against Jack Driscoll all game long if Mailata is not healthy on Sunday. 100%.
And the problem is that what do you do to help him out? Because you don't want to keep Dallas Goedert in. You keep Goddard in, and he's one of your really good receiving weapons. The backs can't pass protect. They had A.J. Brown trying to chip block some in this game, and I didn't like that. So just out having work cut out for him, he's going to have to try to figure out what to do, how to handle this Cowboys pass rush that is so good, one of the best in the NFL, and it gets a lot of pressure even without blitzing. So I think that's all I've got on the offensive side of the ball. You want to flip it over to the defense, or do you have anything else on the offense here?
No. Defensively, it was just a tale of two halves, especially for the Eagles pass rush. Murray was pressured on 11 plays in the first half. The Cardinals only gained positive plays on 3 of those. In the second half, Murray was pressured on only 6 plays, which is crazy. That speaks to Jonathan Gannon more than anything. And then 5 of those were positive gains for the offense. And I think at least 3 of those were like 3rd and longs. Like one was like a 3rd and 16. I could be mistaken. But the Eagles pass rush has to be dominant in the first and second half against the Cowboys. Hassan Reddick had a really good game. He was one of my players of the game during the post-game show. He's got 14 pressures and 5 sacks over the last 3 games. So the dude is definitely bringing it. Love to see that from Hassan Reddick. I remember watching the game, and I remember hearing Jordan Davis's name come up a few times. But I put the video out of Jordan Davis's tape every snap on the channel, and that was probably the best Jordan Davis game I've seen. He was absolutely terrific. He had 3 tackles. He had 2 stops on only 11 snaps against the run. I thought Jordan Davis is getting better and better incrementally every single week. And that's kind of my take. I thought T.J. Edwards really struggled. This was not a good T.J. Edwards game. He for me at least, he was like looking like a Pro Bowler the last few games. He looked human here against last Sunday. And I thought, especially in coverage, I thought he was picked apart in coverage. T.J. Edwards has to be better. I think when I look at the Cowboys and Eagles game this Sunday night, like it's all going to come down to line of scrimmage. It's all going to come down to missed tackles. It's all going to come down to time of possession. It's going to be at least from my perspective, your classic NFC East game where I think defense is going to be the storyline. So TJ Edwards has to be better, and that's kind of my take.
Yeah, I'll kind of go line by line here with you. Jordan Davis, I also thought he played a really good game. I've got some clips put together to put out a video about him tomorrow. He was really, I mean, obviously he was impressive in the run. The one rep where he takes the guard and just folded him like a lawn chair onto the ground and then goes
He was
and gets
getting
the guy.
Consistent push.
And even, I think it was like the second play of the game, he read out the screen to Zach Ertz and he runs Zach Ertz down. Like, just high motor, impressive athleticism. He's so strong at the point of attack. He had a couple pass rush sheds where he put some pressure on Murray. One of them, he flushed Murray out of the pocket. Unfortunately, there was nobody there to contain him, but Davis did his job of forcing Murray out of the pocket. I thought the pass rush was pretty good all game. There were some pretty instant wins, but Murray was getting the ball out so fast. He had a time to throw 2.68 seconds, which is pretty quick, but he was really fast as the game went along. Like, there was a clip I put out on the timeline this evening of Josh Sweat, just like a ridiculous pass rush move he put on the right tackle for an instant win, but Murray gets the ball out in like 1.8 seconds. So I thought the pass rush was really good. I thought Jordan Davis played a really good game, like you mentioned. TJ Edwards, the first half was the worst half of football I've ever seen TJ Edwards play.
Oh, really?
The Cardinals were constantly finding ways to isolate him in coverage and throw at him, and he wasn't making plays, and he wasn't tackling well. There was a play where Hollywood Brown scored a touchdown, and there's AJ Brown getting a touchdown in our simulation. So there was a play where Hollywood Brown is on a slant over the middle, and Edwards is in a cover one zone. He's the hole guy, and they get the ball to Brown. Edwards misses the tackle. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson misses the tackle. Darius Slay misses the tackle, and he gets into the end zone. 3 guys miss a tackle there. And that's not something you expect from Edwards. You know Slay's not a great tackler. You've seen Chauncey Gardner-Johnson be a bad tackler this year. Edwards is usually really sure there, and so he had a rough game. It was not his best game. I did think he improved in the second half. He had some flash plays. He read out one screen out to the perimeter, and so I thought he got better, but that first half was rough. And it does make you sort of wonder where Nakobe Dean is at, how he's coming along. Are they just slow playing it with him with the injury things? Is this just a red shirt year for him? Or has he been that bad? Because you would have thought that you might have seen him in a rotation there as poorly as Edwards was playing in coverage. That's what he was supposed to be good at. Dean is good in coverage. Edwards is supposed to be better as a run stuffer. Well, the Cardinals weren't running the ball, and Edwards was struggling. And so the fact we didn't see Dean makes me think we're probably not going to see him this year.
I agree. We need a bounce back game from TJ Edwards for sure. I think you look at kind of Gannon's implementation of TJ Edwards, especially on those like third down blitzes and things like that. We need to see better. We need to see better from TJ Edwards. He was taking even bad angles to the football and just getting blown up. Like, that's not what I've seen over the last few weeks. We have sat here and raved about TJ Edwards these last few weeks. I don't know what happened. I don't know. Hopefully that gets cleaned up.
Yeah. And then on the secondary and with Jonathan Gannon, Gannon came into the game, and I thought early in the game, I thought he played a little more aggressive. You saw a decent amount of cover one man with different guys spying Kyler Murray, and it seemed to work. Later in the game, I thought he got real passive, a lot of spot drop zone coverages, and it was like, I don't know, it was like he was playing scared of the speed of Rondell Moore and Hollywood Brown. And, you know, Hollywood Brown has the drop that probably would have gone for a touchdown, and maybe something like that is in your head, and it makes you hesitant to put your guy on an island against him there. And I'm still not convinced that Darius Slay was playing at 100%. I know he had a forearm injury. There were several instances of him just not tackling. And he's never been like he's not a Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, I want to come up and hit you kind of guy. He never has been. But he's not that bad of a tackler, and he was actively avoiding contact, it felt like. So I wonder if the forearm injury, he's playing at less than 100%. It's certainly something to keep an eye on if that continues. But I almost wonder if he would have been out had Maddox been able to play.
That's a great point. Is it Avonte Maddox ending at all to play on Sunday? Like, what's the latest on Maddox? Because that we've been talking a lot of interception here. Speaking of is that Slay, by the way?
Yeah, Slay with the tip pick to himself.
By the way, we're sitting here week 6 in the NFL, and the Eagles are tied for first in defensive takeaways. Let's just celebrate that fact. I still can't get over that. The Cowboys, for reference purposes, who were absolutely outstanding in takeaways last year, sit at 1.4 takeaways a game. The Eagles have 2.2 takeaways per game. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, though, made arguably the play of the game with that interception. You haven't been very high on Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, but yeah, I'm very, very much wanting Avonte Maddox to get back and help with this Eagles defense, because we've seen consistently 5 defensive backs on this defense. I don't think that's going anywhere. We need Avonte on that field.
Yeah, we should. Injury report comes out tomorrow. We should get information on a lot of those guys, so we can hope that they will be back. One other note I forgot to mention on the offense: Jalen Hurts threw 10 screen passes in this game. So he was charted with 10 screen passes. It's the first player with more than 10 screen passes in a game since route charting became a thing in 2018.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, so it's definitely a screen-heavy game a little bit. Then the other thing I want to talk about is special teams. They got to fix special teams. Special teams is atrocious, and it's going to cost them a game, and I've been saying that for weeks. How do you give up a fake punt? How do you give up a fake punt? The Eagles, when is the last time the Eagles blocked a punt? Or had a punt return and go more than 10 yards? It doesn't happen. Just play punt safe. You're not impacting the game by trying to block punts or set up returns. There is no reason to give up a fake punt in that situation before half, and it leads to a Cardinals field goal. It also took away the Eagles' chance to go score in a 2-minute drive. The Eagles have scored points in the final 2 minutes of the first quarter, or the first half, every game this season before the Cardinals game. Yeah. So it cost them at least 3 points, maybe as much as 10 points, because they fell for a fake. We got Joe from Facebook chiming in, says, "Hey guys," he's interrupting my rant here, but we're always glad to have you guys dropping comments. So drop us some comments. Let us know what you think about the show, about the game that's coming up. But the Eagles also had Britton Covey muff a punt, and people wanted a flag on that. I didn't think it was a flag-worthy play. The ball hits his hands before the defender gets there. That was a clean play. And even if it was a split second early, if the guy can get there early, you should be fair catching. There's no reason. You don't make plays in the return game anyways. There's no reason to be trying to field that and take a big hit to show how tough you are. So I'm over Britton Covey as a punt returner. I'm over Mike Clay as a special teams coach. The Eagles have got to get it figured out. And yet, the backup kicker, Cameron Dicker,
he's the player of the game.
2 field goals. He hits the game winner in a game where the Cardinals special teams did lose them the game as they missed the field goal with their backup kicker. So, and we can't let the show go without clowning Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury a little bit. You scramble on a second down and you slide short of the marker. You got to know where the marker is. And if you're going to run in that situation, you can't slide. Take a hit. You can take one hit. It'll be fine. Jalen Hurts took 12 in the game. You could take one hit to make sure you get the first down. But he chooses to slide, which, by the way, is one of the things I love about Hurts. He's not out there trying to make contact every time, but when he needs to, he's willing to put the shoulder down. Ryan pops in and says, "What's up, fellas? I'll be back next week." Ryan just got back from Arizona, and he bailed on us. Can you guys believe that? As Avonte Maddox gets an interception of Cooper Rush, he's going to take that to the house.
2
Let's
pick
go.
sixes in this game. Holy cow.
But anyways, yeah, you slide down short of the marker, and then they hurry up to spike it on 3rd and 1. And I don't understand how Cliff Kingsbury, who's in his headset, is not saying don't spike the ball. So just a total mismanagement of the game by the Cardinals, and they missed the field goal, which was just the perfect ending to the game.
The Eagles got lucky, man. They got lucky. The way the momentum was going there with Jonathan Gannon's defense and the pressure not doing a goddamn thing. Kyler Murray, those design runs. There was a lot of momentum on the Cardinals side. They got lucky, and I'm going to sit here and complain about special teams when Dicker was probably player of the game, or you could even call the Arizona Cardinals kicker the player of the game.
Matt Amendola.
But yeah, that was something. I can't believe he spiked that ball. I remember watching that with my friends during a watch party, and we were just laughing. We were laughing so hard. I was not feeling good about that game whatsoever. I go back to kind of like my gut feeling, like everything about my essence. I thought the Eagles were trending to lose that game.
Yeah, we got Joe said the one good thing about special teams, the last field goal was actually blocked by Milton Williams. Check out the video; he got a hand on it. I saw that. It's close. I'm not sure. I know Nick Sirianni said he was going to ask him about it because they asked Sirianni about it and he said he wasn't sure. So, pro tip to Milton Williams: if the coach asks you if you blocked it, even if you didn't, just go ahead and say yes. As Cooper Rush throws another interception, this time to
across
Marcus
the
Epps.
field. I'll take that.
I really hope we see this version of Cooper Rush.
What was your take on that throw, that completion to Devontae Smith? Jalen Hurts was under pressure to his left, relatively through like the midfield area to Devontae. Was that a good throw, or what would you call that?
Is that the one in the one where they were back near the end zone?
Yeah, it was third and long, I think.
That was the best throw he made in the game. I've got that one cut up to put a video out on tomorrow too. That the way they ran dagger against cover 2. The vertical route ran off the linebacker, the deep middle linebacker, and so they've got Devonta Smith coming across the middle, and he's open, but Hurts had to bail from the pocket, and he keeps the play alive, rolls out left, flips his hips, gets the ball downfield, and takes the hit. That was just an incredible throw. That was the best throw I thought that Hurts made of the game. One of his best throws of the year. That video is not one of the best throws of the year.
Man, interceptions going like crazy in this game. Anyway, Ryan, we miss you, man. I'm glad you had fun in Arizona. I love Arizona. I think it's an underrated place to visit. Arizona's just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Glad you were bringing the heat down there in Arizona, man. Rest up.
Yeah, for sure. We'll get you back here next week. Although if the Eagles lose and you aren't on the podcast, we are blaming you for the rest of time.
Ryan just officially put himself into hosting chair for next week if the Eagles lose.
All right. I mean, do we really want to give the host chair to the guy who's the reason they lost if it happens?
Fair. That's true.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps up my thoughts on the Eagles-Cardinals game so far. Keep it tuned to my timeline tomorrow. I'll have some videos coming out on the offense. I'm not sure I'm going to get into the defense too much this week, just for time's sake. But, Dibes, did you have anything else that stuck out to you that you wanted to make sure to mention?
No, at the end of the day, the Eagles are 5-0. I'm very much excited for this game on Sunday night. I'm very much like, throw that game tape out. Eagles, Cowboys, Sunday Night Football, NFC East on the line. Like, I'm so excited. So at the end of the day, they got the W. It's the NFL. You never know. Week to week, what could happen. I thought for sure the Eagles. I think I predicted the Eagles win 37-17 in that one. I thought the Eagles offense would have just rolled the Cardinals. It's any given Sunday in the NFL, man. Just be happy.
Oh, the last thing I'll mention, and then we'll move on to the Cowboys game. That 17 play drive that kills 8 minutes off the clock, ends in a field goal. That's what I love about the Eagles. They have the ability to do that every week. Awesome. You hit the fourth quarter. It doesn't matter if you haven't been able to run the ball all game. You hit the fourth quarter. The offensive line has worn down the opposing defensive line. And the Eagles have the ability in a tie game, in a game with a one-score lead, to take 8, 9, 10 minutes off the clock. We've seen them do it multiple times this season already and put points on the board, and that's invaluable as we get down to the playoffs. So the Eagles are 5-0. Should they be? Maybe not. Maybe they should have lost that game, but you know what? The Kansas City Chiefs, they shouldn't have lost to the Indianapolis Colts, but they did. The Bills shouldn't have lost to the Dolphins, but they did. And at the end of the day, 5-0 is 5-0. And so you take what you can get, and you move on to a huge matchup on Sunday Night Football against the 4-1 Dallas Cowboys. And also, by the way, the 4-1 New York Giants are in the division. The NFC East is suddenly looking pretty good. Let's get into this Eagles-Cowboys game and talk about what we expect in this one. I think it all starts off for me with the Dallas pass rush.
Yes,
DeMarcus
100%.
Lawrence is second fiddle now to Micah Parsons, and just the complete beast that he is as a pass rusher. And I really hope that the Eagles offensive line is back, because they're going to need everything they can get. The Dallas Cowboys have a legit defense. They're 6th in total DVOA, which is one slot behind the Eagles. They are 4th in passing DVOA, which is one slot behind the Eagles, and they are 18th in rushing DVOA. So you can run on them a little bit, but the passing game is tough, and they don't have to blitz a lot to get pressure. And so will they choose to blitz because its impact it hurts a lot? I don't know. But being able to block DeMarcus Lawrence is going to be, or DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons is going to be huge in this game.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Real quick on that win before we move forward is I said this during the post-game show as my final thought. Like, that win is going to be one of those wins that we're going to be talking about like 10 weeks from now when we're talking about seeding and different things like that. Like, just so that's just my final thought. But going to the pass rush, that Jordan Mailata, Jack Driscoll versus Micah Parsons matchup is going to be so important. You look at the Cowboys versus the Rams. Los Angeles was beating like a drum, man. They allowed 24 pressures on 46 pass blocking snaps. They had a 52.2 pressure rate. That was the third highest pressure rate allowed by a team all season long this year. Micah was terrific. He had 2 sacks. He had a forced fumble. He had 5 tackles. They hit Matthew Stafford 11 times. They caused him to fumble twice. He also threw an interception. The Rams did not score a single point in the final 2 quarters. And where you look at the Cowboys pass rush, they are second in the league in 20 sacks. They lead the league in pressure rate. Micah Parsons had 6 of those sacks. And that starts and ends with Micah Parsons. You look at kind of Jalen Hurts, as we talked about, his 3.8 air yards per pass attempt last week was the second fewest of his career. We know the Cardinals like to blitz. Teams are going to blitz against Jalen Hurts. We haven't seen it a lot this year, but I just think that's going to go up and up and up as the season progresses. And you look at the Cowboys, they're 10th in blitz percentage, but they're 3rd in total quarterback pressures, only behind the Bucs and the Dolphins. And this is a Cowboys defense that allows the 3rd best opponent quarterback rating at 76.6 behind the Bills and the Patriots. So that pass rush is huge for everything they do, and it starts with Micah.
Yeah, last season the Cowboys had a pretty good defense, and it was largely based on giving up a lot of yards and getting opportune interceptions. This year it's been an entirely different story. Top to bottom, this defense is playing really well. Like I said, they're the number 6 DVOA defense. The pass rush has been really good. They've allowed exactly 1 touchdown in every game this year. This is not a team that you put up a lot of points on typically, and so Cooper Rush hasn't been great. He hasn't needed to be. The Cowboys went 4-0 with Cooper Rush, and it was largely on the strength of their running game and this defense. And so, and we can talk about, I don't know who the starting quarterback is going to be. Dak Prescott is ramping up to play. Jerry Jones said that they're going to see starting on Wednesday how he's able to grip the ball and spin it. We'll see. Either way, though, the Cowboys are not going to be in a great place offensively. Whether it be Cooper Rush, who only threw for 100 yards last week, whether it be Dak Prescott making his first start back off of a thumb injury. The Eagles have an advantage at the quarterback position. Both teams have good defenses, though, and I think this is ultimately, like you said, it's going to come down to a defensive struggle. Yeah. And, it's going to be whoever is able to get those couple big plays or whoever's able to deal with the adversity the defense is throwing at the offenses. I don't expect this to be a high-scoring game.
Yeah, and we kind of touched on it, but we need to see TJ Edwards have a better game because you look at Zeke, you look at Tony Pollard, the Cowboys ran the ball 34 times for 163 yards last week. That's 5.5 yards per attempt. Tony Pollard can get missed tackles. He had 3 of them on Sunday. He has 75 yards after contact on just 8 carries. Dallas averages the 10th most attempts on the ground this year, and they have the 22nd most yards per carry, which is okay. But those stats aren't great, but they're 13th in the league with 11 runs of 20 yards or more. So this is a team that is 100% capable of getting big chunks in limited carries. So yeah, there's good news. The bad news is they're 25th in a So that's my little bit about the defense. Can we talk about this guy named Cooper Rush just a little bit? Because I kind of did a deep on him, and I'm so curious about this guy because the Cowboys got some Philly fan in them, and that they're falling in love with backup quarterback. And that's what Philly fans do. Those fans are very much known for. Any thoughts on before I go to? I want to talk on Cooper.
Uh-oh. You're kind of breaking up a little on my end, and you're frozen right now. I don't know if you can hear me or not. But I'll talk about Cooper Rush while hopefully we get Dibes back, having a little bit of technical difficulties. Cooper Rush is not somebody that Cowboys fans should be starting a quarterback controversy over. And I don't know if they are or not. I'm not that tapped into the Cowboys, but Cooper Rush has been fine. He's done what you wanted him to do when you were out. If you get a backup quarterback and you can go 500 while he's in, that's great. He's gone 4-0 and it's bought them time, but it really hasn't been because of anything that he did. I mean, against Washington, he completed only 55% of his passes. Against the Rams, he only threw for 102 yards, but the key thing he hasn't done is he hasn't thrown interceptions. And so, although his completion percentage may be low, although he may be unable to push the ball downfield, he hasn't turned the ball over. He's taken some sacks. He took 3 sacks against the Rams, but no interceptions. He did have 2 fumbles. One of them he recovered himself. And so that's the most important thing you can do as a backup quarterback. He's managing the game. One important thing we talked about with the Cardinals game is how the pass rush was winning, but Kyler Murray was getting the ball out so fast, 2.68 second time to throw. Well, Cooper Rush had a 2.21 second time to throw last week. And if you look at the whole regular season, he is the 4th fastest time to throw at 2.55 seconds. He's only slower than Jimmy G, Aaron Rodgers, and Tom Brady. And so he gets the ball out fast, and he's going to continue to get the ball out fast. And so the Eagles are going to have to find a way to win quick, to muddy the waters underneath. And ultimately, they got to find a way to stop the running game, because the Cowboys, if Cooper Rush is the starter, they're going to try to rely on that ground game a lot.
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. You're moving. Everything looks good.
My bad. But yeah, if you look at Cooper Rush, 61% completion percentage. He has 4 touchdowns and 0 interceptions, but he does have 3 that should have been intercepted but were dropped by defenders. He also has 2 interceptions that were called back. He averages 4.0 yards per scramble, so obviously this isn't a guy that is going to beat you with his legs. 93.9 quarterback rating, gotta love that. And he's got a quarterback rating of 82 when under pressure against the blitz, which is not terrible. Hurts is actually 94.3 quarterback rating when under pressure. So that's a whole other conversation. That's so much better than it was last year. Hurts also has twice the yards as Cooper Rush when under pressure, but that's neither here or there. It's interesting that Cooper Rush is the 9th most pressured quarterback in the league at 25.2% per dropback. But he's only been hit 11 times. And that kind of speaks to your point about getting the ball out fast. That speaks to the offensive line for the Cowboys. That speaks to their game plan, Cooper Rush's approach. So that's definitely something to take note on Sunday. He's only been sacked 7 times this year, which is 2 less than Jalen Hurts this season. He's 29th in the league in intended air yards, so he doesn't have a huge arm, and he's not going to beat you over the top that much, but he definitely can get the ball downfield. I don't like that stat, and he's pretty accurate. He's got a 73% on target percentage, which is 20th best, and he's got 2 game-winning drives under his belt for a guy that's just been kind of thrown into the fire. So I'm really excited to watch Cooper Rush play on Sunday night. I haven't gotten a chance to watch him yet, but it's going to be fun because we'll see if Dak Prescott plays or not. I don't understand why, especially given the state of kind of both teams at this point. For me, I'd probably roll with Cooper Rush at this point and just keep Dak healthy and get him ready for the second half of the season. That's just me though.
Yeah, they have bought a lot of time for Dak to get back, so they don't have to rush him out there. But at the same time, by buying that time, now they're sitting here thinking, well, maybe we win the division. Maybe we could go get a 1 seed. And so I get the appeal.
Yeah.
They have Detroit and Chicago up after the Eagles and then their bye week. And so I'm not saying that you keep Dak out for that long, but if Dak's not at 100%, I would for sure roll with Cooper Rush into the Eagles game. It's in Philadelphia. You get the Eagles coming back to Dallas in Week 16. So if I'm the Cowboys, I would maybe be eyeing an after the bye week return for Dak Prescott. And obviously I'm speculating. I don't know where he's at. But if that thumb isn't there, if it's not 100%, I definitely wouldn't try to force it out there. Cooper Rush has bought you time. There's no need to rush Dak back out there and get him hurt again. So, and from an Eagles fan perspective, I hope we see Cooper Rush. He's certainly the lesser quarterback, but I do think it makes sense for Dallas in that situation.
Yep. The other guy I think I really want to see have a huge game against Dallas, one of those, Jacksonville Jaguars games, and that's Miles Sanders. I think this game will come down. It'll be a defensive game, but it'll come down to time of possession. The Eagles is going to be one of those like NFC East bloodbath kind of games that are decided at the line of scrimmage. And I want to see Miles Sanders have another Jacksonville Jaguars game where he's an integral part of this offense. He's getting first downs. He makes 1 or 2 breakout runs there for big gains that are the difference in this one. You look at that Cowboys rushing attack. I want to see the Eagles rushing attack kind of get back in the flow, because when they're clicking on all cylinders like we saw in the fourth quarter last week, they're truly one of the best in the game. But I want to see more from Miles Sanders. This is another one of those Miles Sanders games where the Eagles offense can stay on the field, keep that Cowboys offense off the field. Miles Sanders is a guy that I'm circling to have a big game and a big impact.
I got a few comments here. Ryan says, the Cowboys would be stupid to rush Dak back. Rush is winning. Wait until they're bye.
I agree.
Connor says, imagine if Cooper loses to the Eagles. It would be a perfect time to bring Dak back. It fits a narrative. On the counter side, wouldn't it be great if Dak Prescott leads them to their first loss of the season, and then he comes back against the Eagles and they also lose? And so Cooper Rush is 4-0, Dak's 0-2. I would love that.
I have a question for you, because this question came up in our Discord. It came up during the Kelly Green Hour podcast, which was just about an hour ago. And this started from me and Mark talking about this, your co-host for Chalk Talk. It's like I'm in a weird spot. I get it's Dallas week, but if there's like 100% in Eagles universe, in Eagles alternate reality, where the Eagles play really well, they play hard, they lose to Dallas, they go into the bye week at 5-1. I'm not missing 1 hour of sleep. I'm fine. I am good heading into the bye week at 5-1. Any thoughts on that? Because some people disagree with that big time.
I would say it depends on what happens and how it happens. You know,
Yeah.
if you lose a game like the Cardinals just lost, where what is that catch? If you lose a game like the Cardinals just lost, where you probably played better, you probably should have won, you know, and you missed the field goal at the end or whatever, I would feel better about that. But at the end of the day, Dallas is your main competition for the division. No disrespect to the Giants, they've got great coaching. They've still got Daniel Jones as their quarterback. They're just not quite there yet. Dallas is your main competition, not only for the division, but potentially even for a 1 seed. It's the best defense you're going to face the rest of this regular season. You know, if you come out and put up 30 points on them and you lose because your defense gets lit up, I would feel better about that. But if the offense struggles, if it's a sloppy sort of game, it would be hard for me to feel great about that. Now, I'm going to be thrilled about being 5-1. I would have taken that before the year. But going into the bye with a loss against Dallas puts you conceivably in third place in the division. You would be thinking about it a little bit, especially because this is kind of a litmus test game. The Eagles' schedule is pretty soft after their bye week, so I want to see them play well. If they play well in a loss, I can probably feel okay about that. I can't feel good if they just come out and they lay an egg, though.
I agree. Yeah, that's fair. Totally fair. Just I don't know. For a game with the 5-0 Eagles versus what the 4-1, you know, Dallas Cowboys, like I'm eerily confident, or not as nervous as I should be, I guess. And that is a weird thing. For such a huge game. I don't know. I'm just weirdly confident in this Eagles squad this year. Just like we saw against the Cardinals, they didn't play well at all, but they won by not turning the ball over, limiting turnovers. They won by, you know, dominating when they needed to in that fourth quarter. I don't know. Even though they made mistakes, especially with the game plan, good teams win those kind of games. And I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm fairly confident. The Eagles are not a good team. They're a great team.
Yeah. All right. Well, that leads us into our game predictions, which is so difficult. You don't know who the Cowboys starting quarterback is going to be. You don't know who the Eagles starting left tackle is going to be. There are so many unknowns until we get those injury reports. But Dibes, you got to make a call. You got to make a call. What are you picking here for this week?
It's too early. We don't know enough about the injury status of several players. That's a big one. That's way more. I'm like, Jordan Mailata's injury status is way more of a variable, to me at least, than Dak versus Cooper Rush, as crazy as that sounds. That's what I got. I think my man Ryan says 23-21 Eagles. This is one of those games that I fully agree, Ryan. Like, it's going to be less than a field goal type of slugfest. I'm going to go a little bit less than that. Yeah, baby. Who's that? That's Jordan Davis. Let's go. Jordan Davis with the sack there. I'm going less than you, Ryan. I think this is going to be a defensive battle. I'm going to go 17-14. Eagles get the W here. You could probably if this game was in Dallas, you could probably flip the script as well. I think whomever limits the turnovers, just like we saw last week, will get the W. I think a defensive player is going to be the player of the game in this one, whether that's Hassan Reddick making a big sack or a forced fumble. He's got several this year. Or it could be Mika on the other side making a huge pressure at a huge moment. And we'll see. So I'm going 17-14 Eagles. And just like my man Ryan, I'll be having a heart attack the entire night.
Yeah, he says heart attack game for sure, and that's not good news because my Apple Watch already asked me if I was having a medical emergency during the Cardinals' last drive last week. So, for me, man, this game's so hard to pick. You look at Dak and you look at Jordan Mailata, and if one of those guys plays and the other one doesn't, that team wins, in my opinion. If Dak plays, Mailata doesn't, the Cowboys win. Vice versa, the Eagles win. If they both play or don't play, And I don't know. I think it's going to be a close game either way, low scoring like you guys said. I was actually going to say 17-14 Eagles, which is what you said. So I'll bump it up a little bit. I'll say 20-17 Eagles right now. I reserve the right to change my mind once we find out who's going to play, though, because this seems like a total crapshoot, if I'm being honest, to pick this not knowing who's going to play.
100% agree. Yeah, this is going to be a great game. I'm excited, just like the Minnesota Vikings, just like even the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is a great test for Jalen Hurts. At the end of the day, it's about evaluating Jalen Hurts, and he's got another great litmus test ahead of him, especially against Parsons and that Cowboys defensive line, which has been just dominant. So I'm excited.
All right, big week this week. Dallas week, Sunday Night Football. 5-0 Eagles, 4-1 Dallas Cowboys. It should be a lot of fun. We'll have you covered every step of the way. Keep it tuned here to the Painted Lines. We'll have all kinds of shows breaking this down in the lead up to and in the aftermath. So, guys, before we get out of here, do you have any final thoughts? Anything else you want to get out there that you didn't get a chance to?
Sixers post games are back. We'll be doing another one on Wednesday, tomorrow night, if you're watching us live here on Tuesday. So it's fun to kind of change things up with Sixers conversations, and I'm loving the Sixers, especially their depth. So you can check that out every single post, or when the clock hits 0, me and my man Sean break it down as good as anywhere you'll find. And then we will have a pregame, halftime, and postgame show for Eagles versus Cowboys. I will be hosting the pregame show. And then my man Freddie will be doing the halftime and post-game show. So tons and tons of Eagles content. I will be dropping my Eagles matchups to watch video later this week. Just want to say thank you for the comments, and just thank you for anyone who tuned in and wanted to hear us two losers talk about football.
Yeah, absolutely. So Joe, Ryan, Connor, all you guys that were in the comments, we appreciate you guys. Thanks for riding with us. Give us a follow on Twitter. Dibes is at Mr. Crockpot. He puts out all kinds of highlight videos every week, so make sure you check those out. You can give me a follow at @halfandhalf_TPL. I steal his highlight videos, and then I make them into all 22 videos, and it's a great thing where I just kind of leech off of him. So check those out.
Wait. You are not leaving this show until you plug your new show for Bleeding Green Nation. What is it?
It's okay, so I'm doing the instant reaction shows for post game for Bleeding Green Nation. I do have a midweek show that's going to start dropping on Bleeding Green Nation's feed. I still can't say the name of it, but it should have an episode dropping this week. So they haven't announced it yet, so I can't, but it should be coming out this week, hopefully in the next couple of days. So stay tuned there. We will have a lot more stuff coming out. I'll be able to actually talk about it once they get that official announcement out. So sorry, I might have to wait. I can for sure tell you next week. But yeah, it'll be fun. And also I'm going to be going live pretty much right after this show ends with Chalk Talk. Mark's going to be joining me. We'll talk about the Eagles a little bit. We'll break down all the other NFL games. So make sure you check that out if you don't have enough football yet on a Tuesday night. Ryan says great show as always, although something was missing. Yeah, we were missing other Ryan. And I guess we were missing Ryan Reese too, but we'll get to them next week. So
it's nice when we do a show and I'm not like the third ugliest person on the show. Now I'm just the second.
There you go. All right. Well, from me, from Dibes, from the Painted Lines, from Philly Sports Alliance, all the different groups associated with this, thank you guys for joining us, and we will catch you next week. Go Birds.
Go Birds.